I'd like to start today by once again just saying thank you. I literally just got off the phone with someone a few minutes ago that has been watching my blog for several months and just had wonderful things to say. So it never gets old to hear positive feedback. It gets a little difficult when you get negative feedback, but that's all part of being in the public. So again, thank you. Today I want to tell you a little bit of a funny story, but more of an experience that if you're a betrayed, you'll relate to. If you're an unfaithful, you'll certainly relate to. If you're kind of a punk like I was. But Samantha loved to journal. And when I talk to betrayed spouses, I encourage them to journal. I think it's a great way to process what you're feeling, get what's in your mind out on paper, take a deep breath, and kind of move to the next hour or half hour in life. It's just a great tool to process and be able to kind of take a deep breath. You can vent, you can yell, you can scream. When I have difficult moments, I have found that writing an email and venting and using bad language really helps me to get it out, and then I just delete it and don't send it. So if you're going to do that, don't put anything in the to box on your email provider, because that could be bad. So I leave that blank, but I vent, and it feels good to get it out. And journaling's the same way. It feels good to get it out, take a deep breath, and you kind of feel better. But I hated Samantha's journal because when we would be in a meeting with Rick, the journal would come out. When she and I would have meetings or we were going to have a discussion, the journal would always come out. I hated the journal with a passion because every time she broke the journal out, it was to talk about how much of a piece of crap I was, how much of a failure I was, what I had done wrong. When we met with Rick, I would kind of look over, and sure enough, here came the journal, and I knew that I was in trouble. I'll never forget the day that I finally decided I'm going to read her journal. And it was a difficult week, I won't lie to you. But I decided when she was downstairs or she was whatever, I couldn't handle not knowing what was going on, so I decided I was going to read her journal. So I opened up her journal, and I was having a particularly difficult day. I read it, read how she was thinking and feeling, and I lost it. I put it down exactly where it was so she didn't know. And I literally walked over to my side of the bed and I was punching the pillow. I mean, I was like in a crazed rage, hitting the pillow because I was so angry, so upset, so out of breath. I'll never forget the session we had with Rick after I had read the journal. Samantha didn't know, but we were in this meeting and it was tense, like you can relate to. And Samantha opened up the journal, and I kind of saw it, and I was so stupid. I said, and I know what's coming, and here's what she's going to say. And Rick, in his brilliance, looked at me and said, oh, you read the journal, didn't you? And I just froze, like, oh no. And I admitted I read the journal. Samantha was furious. But then she said something to me, and this is why I tell this story. She said, I wasn't even going to talk about everything in my journal. I just wanted to reference a couple things that I felt like we needed to talk about and that I had dropped the ball, meaning her. And I sat there like, great. And the thing about a journal is it's venting or journaling. And when you, the unfaithful, read their journal, or when you, the betrayed, read the unfaithful's journal, you're only seeing a moment. You're only seeing an emotion. You're only reading an emotion. And that emotion is just very fleeting. It's that moment. And you could be reacting over something that they really don't necessarily feel. They're processing. So a lot of times, one of the biggest struggles that we get into is that we're dealing with our spouse when they are processing. They haven't arrived at where they're going to get yet. And that works for both spouses. They haven't arrived at sobriety or truth or humility or empathy or remorse. They're in the process. And so you're reading their journal and it's really mid-process and it's emotion. And for the unfaithful, when we read the betrayed's journal, we're just seeing a moment and an emotion, and we lose our mind and go punch the pillow, and we're overreacting and we're freaking out because we're trying to control the recovery process. The thing about why it's so important to journal and why it's so important that it revealed a principle for Samantha and I, that she wanted to go deep. She wanted to talk about everything from, our sex life to my controlling tendencies to my defensiveness, all of those things. She was going to go deep. She had it in her mind that everything was going to get addressed, and it needed to be, and it needed to be with her. And the reality was, the journal actually became a blessing because I started to finally see that Samantha wasn't trying to journal to itemize out how much of a complete idiot I was. On some days she was, but really she wanted to go deep and she wanted to heal. So if your spouse is journaling and they're a betrayed spouse and you're really irritated at it, I would change your thinking and realize, you know what? They wouldn't be journaling if they didn't care. They wouldn't be journaling if they didn't want to go deep. They wouldn't be journaling if they didn't want to ultimately heal. If they were done, they'd just be done, close the book, and start a different journal. So don't hate the journal. You're probably going to read the journal, unfaithful spouses. It's kind of normal. I would encourage you not to, because you don't want to be as stupid as I did. But if you do read it, realize it's just a moment. It's not the totality of what they're feeling.